everyone, my name is Valerie Torres and I am the ILS Treasurer. Our third speaker of the evening is Margie Villalobos. She is a well-known immigration attorney located in McAllen, Texas, along the US-Mexican border. Mrs. Villalobos graduated from the University of Texas School of Law in 1990 and is a partner at the Villalobos Law Firm. Mrs. Villalobos specializes in family-based immigration, DACA, citizenship, VAWA, and U visas, and as well as deportation defense. Mrs. Villalobos is also a volunteer at Immigrant Hope and provides legal oversight.
Good evening. My topic was going to be on family-based petitions. I do a lot of those. In fact, I have a lot of appointments during the week where I have to go to interviews with my clients where a family member is petitioning another family member. Yesterday, I had a couple where the husband was petitioning for the wife. And today I received an email, a text from my clients saying that they looked on the website and they got approved. So, I mean, that's really, I'm really happy for my clients when that happens, and especially when it happens right away. On the family-based petitions, the majority of immigrants receive their legal permanent residence through family-based petitions. That's where a family member files a petition for them. It can be either a spouse or a child petitioning for the parents, or the parents petitioning for the child here in the US. There are other family-based petitions, but those are the more common ones. And every year, hundreds of thousands of people adjust to receive their green card, their legal permanent residence, because of a petition that somebody filed for them. And there's a lot more to the family-based petitions, but I mean, I guess that would be another topic for another time, because it's not as simple as just filing an I-130. There are other situations where if a family member, say a mother filed a petition for a child a long time ago and that child got married and that was filed before 1998 or 2001, a lot of times people, even though they didn't come into the United States legally, they can latch onto that old petition, pay a fine, and still adjust here in the US. So there's a lot of different things involved in adjusting here in the US. One of the things I was asked to talk about was any changes to the family-based petitions. And there is one major change that has come about, and it's really good for people who have been applying. Back in February, there was a public charge that was passed, and that was really making it real hard for people to adjust. They were asking, it was a separate form that was an I-944 that had to be filed with, along with the petitions. And that form asked a lot of information about the person, the one that was being petitioned, the beneficiary. It was asking a lot of information about their income, assets, their education, just a lot of information, and we were having to provide it. Then I think that it got stopped, and then it started again. And then thank goodness, recently, I believe on February 2nd, President Biden signed an executive order doing away with that public charge. So now it's going to be a lot easier for a lot of people to apply, because one of the concerns that a lot of people come to me were, okay, is this going to prevent me from adjusting, not have to ask information if they received public benefits from the government for a year? Yes, that was going to be taken into account, and probably they were going to be denied. But now that's not going to be a problem. People can ask for benefits. A lot of people that adjust, they have kids here that are US citizens, and they're already receiving Medicaid or housing or some kind of government assistance, but now that won't be taken, won't be used against them in filing for their adjustments. So that is a big victory for immigrants that are applying for adjustment. So now, then also I wanted to comment that a couple of times when I submitted the application, the public charge, the I-944, I would submit just simple information, try not to send too much. And then we would receive a request for evidence, requesting more evidence. Well, now, if you've received a request for evidence asking, you received a request for evidence asking that you supplement and all that, now you don't have to respond. you don't have to provide anything regarding the public charge. But if they do send you a request for evidence asking for other information, you do need to make sure to respond to that. And basically, that is the major change that has come up on family-based petitions, is the doing away with the public charge. And of course, there are some other forms that have been updated. So when you're filing the applications, you need to make sure you update you look and use the updated forms. Otherwise, those will be rejected. Some of the other proposals that President Biden has been doing is he's trying to increase the per country caps so that more people can adjust here in the United States, so that there won't be such a backlog. And one thing I've noticed also is in immigration at the interviews, they're starting to call more interviews now, I guess, since, I mean, the pandemic, I believe, is getting better. For a while there, everything had stopped and there weren't that many interviews, but now they're moving a lot faster. And I believe in the future that there's going to be a lot more interviews and more cases will be taken care of on the family-based petitions. But like I said, basically the main change that has happened on the family-based petition is the removal of the public charge. And we're hoping that some of the other proposals that President Biden has proposed will pass, but they're still pending before Congress. And that's what my topic was.
Thank you so much, Ms. Villalobos. So now we're going to open up the floor for any questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself. Just because I can't see everyone on my gallery, so I wouldn't be able to call out your name. So if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
I was just going to comment on Ms. Villalobos's comment about the public charge, because that's pretty good news, because my parents were family-based petition and we had to go through a lot about it. They were very careful not to ask for anything, so they didn't have a lot of problems, and they had a pretty fast petition, and they're getting ready to get their citizenship test next year.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great.
So I have a follow-up. I feel like there's always questions about, well, what kind of aid mattered, or what kind of public help would it matter? Does it make a difference between state or if it's a federal aid? Could you please elaborate on that?
Okay, back when that was implemented, usually what counted against you was if you received Medicaid, Medicare, or food stamps or some kind of TANF or government housing. But there was a list that was provided. I didn't print it out, but there was a list provided. And the majority before on the application, when you filed, the question was, have you ever received any government benefits? And you would always answer no, because the immigrant or the beneficiary that was applying, they themselves did not receive the benefits, but the children did, their children or their spouse did. But now with the doing away of the public charge, that doesn't matter. Now they're going back to just asking, have you received? And of course, the answer is going to be no, because the person cannot, they don't qualify, or they can't ask for public benefits. It's only their children. But like I said, now it doesn't matter if their children applied for it or got it. That's not even going to come into the conversation. They're not going to bring that up, and that question will not be asked. So that's, like I said, that's a major victory in immigration, the doing away with the public charge.
I have a question, just generally. So my husband's stepdad asked him to be his sponsor recently, and I was just wondering what the legal implications are for my husband being his sponsor.
I can answer that. Normally, what it means to be a sponsor means that you're going to be responsible for that person if they need financial assistance. But the way I explain it to my clients is, in the Mexican culture, you get baptized and you get a godparent to baptize you. And supposedly, the godparent is the one that's supposed to be responsible for that child if the parents pass away or something happens. But we know that in reality, that doesn't really happen. That what happens is, if something happens to the parents, the child is going to be taken care of by a relative, a sister, aunt, or uncle. And I explained to the clients that that's pretty much the way it happens in immigration. I have yet to see a case where somebody sponsored somebody and say they applied for food stamps or something, that the government came back and said, hey, I want you to pay us back. That hasn't happened, but I don't know of any cases, or I've never heard anybody tell me that has happened. But supposedly that is what's supposed to be. By being the sponsor, you're saying you're going to be responsible, you're going to take care of this person if they need assistance. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. Basically, it's saying that you already, you're willing and able to do that if it's necessary, and you're agreeing to that by signing the documents. But in reality, I have yet to see that happen.
Thank you.
I have a question about how we deal with the bigger issues, or how it's helped along the way, because I anticipate that the immigration issue will continue to be because it's so complex. It'll always be in the center of in politics. So what happens when there's another administration? Is there anything that can be done? Obviously, if there's no consensus in the Senate, then there's likely not going to be any movement these 4 years when Biden is president. So what happens the next possibly 4 or 8 years from now when there's another administration?
I'd like to comment on that. That's why it's very important for you to reach out to your state representatives, your senators, and let them know the concerns that you have, how important of an issue this is, how it affects your family. Get your family to go out there. When people say, oh, I don't vote, really, you're here in the US and you're passing up a great opportunity to make a change. If you have relatives that have that mentality, say, I don't go vote because it doesn't make a difference, talk to them, tell them it does make a difference. Can you imagine how many people that say they don't vote? All those votes can add up to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that can make a difference. And I know in the Hispanic community, that happens a lot. So we need to educate, I'm speaking for Hispanics, we need to educate the people and say, you know what, your vote does matter. You can make a difference. Go out there and vote, make a change, talk, and like I said, follow up, talk to the representatives, talk to the senators, send them emails, tell them it does make a difference. It affects your life, it affects your family, and don't give up, just keep on.